That first group of white Afrikaner South Africans who've been granted refugee status by the US government expected to arrive at an airport in Washington this evening.
Now, they departed from OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg yesterday.
The group reportedly includes 49 people. Some of them are related, so these would be families. There are older people as well as younger couples.
And the chartered aircraft, of course, headed to Dallas International Airport just outside Washington, D.C.
The expedited processing of the group comes at a time when desperate refugees from other countries have been blocked from entering the United States, with immigration a hot-button issue for the Trump administration. Let's bring in now SABC News correspondent Nick Harper, who's live for us in the United States. Nick, so we're waiting for that aircraft to land carrying these 49 white Afrikaners. Do we know when it will arrive?
Yeah, we've just got word in the last few minutes that it looks as if that plane has touched down in the course of the last hour. It was scheduled to get here at about 12:30 local time. That was just over 30 minutes ago. From tracking flight tracking websites, it does show that that plane has now landed in the United States. So those 49 Afrikaners are on US soil under this refugee program that Donald Trump created, especially for them. It is at a time, as you mentioned, when other refugee relocation programs have essentially been suspended to vast majorities of the world. In the Middle East, Sudanese refugees, Congolese refugees, none of them are currently allowed into the US. Their ability to get here as refugees has been frozen. However, Donald Trump and the Trump administration put together this fast-track approach for white South Africans to be able to claim refugee status, to come here to the United States because the Trump administration says that they are being racially persecuted. They are now here and they will have the ability during their stay in the United States to get on the path to citizenship if they desire to become US citizens at some point in the future.
And why does the Trump administration, Nick, believe that the experiences of these white South Africans, even though the government here has already said they're not being persecuted, that there isn't a white genocide targeting white Afrikaner South Africans, why does the Trump administration believe that theirs is a cause that warrants their resettlement perhaps more urgently than Sudanese who are trying to get away from war back home, Afghans who don't want to live, for example, under Taliban rule?
Well, exactly, and those are the type of people who would normally be allowed into the United States. People who are fleeing war, fleeing natural disaster, fleeing persecution. The South African government says that this is just simply politically motivated, essentially something that has been dreamt up by the Trump administration that does not match reality. Donald Trump, at a press conference just a few hours ago, was asked why he had created this program for white South Africans, and he said, because they're being killed and we don't want them to be killed. It's genocide, he said, that's taking place. He called it a terrible thing, and he said that white farmers were being brutally killed and their land being confiscated. Now, Donald Trump has made no bones about the fact that he does not get on with President Cyril Ramaphosa, he does not get on with the South African government, and he feels that there is persecution back at home that means that these white South African farmers should be allowed entry into the United States. This idea of it being a racially persecuted attack against them, against their farmland and against their lives is something that Donald Trump is continuing to push. And of course, those claims have been pushed back against by the South African government.
And what do we expect then is going to be happening? What's the program for these 49 so-called refugees? Well, they are now in the United States. We're expecting, or there was some reporting, that there might be a briefing. Do we know where their ultimate destination for resettlement will be?
Yeah, that briefing meant to be taking place sometime soon at Dulles Airport, being headed up by State Department officials. And that's something that you would not normally see for any incoming refugees. High-level dignitaries there to meet and greet them, but also a press briefing being held. I think that really shows that the Trump administration is trying to use this as a photo opportunity to slam the South African government, again, with those claims of racial persecution. Now, after that press conference takes place It'll be a case of moving the 49 people onto their final location. We're told that some of them have chosen to go to different US states, including Minnesota, Alabama, Idaho, and also Texas. It's unclear if any of them will stay in the Washington, D.C. metro area. But they will have the ability to meet with officials who will arrange temporary housing for them. That might be a hotel in the local area, either here before they board that connecting flight or at the other end in the state that they've chosen to settle in. And then they will have the opportunity to try and get longer-term housing. They have been told, as part of the briefing documents they've been given, that they must find work as quickly as possible. They have the opportunity to take US government benefits, things like unemployment benefit, but the expectation from the US side is that they will integrate, they will find a place to live, and they will find a job that supports them, not just themselves, but also the US economy as well.
And I guess, Nick, one of the things we'll be wanting to hear, especially at this briefing that you say is likely to happen at the airport in Washington, is a better sense, in fact, of the profiles of these people, what sort of life they lived in South Africa, income, etc., and what that would possibly mean for their ability to fend for themselves now that they're going to be resettled in the United States.
Well, undoubtedly, to move country, to emigrate, to choose another country to try and live and settle in, I mean, that is a huge undertaking. And it is the personal stories that we will want to hear of these 49 people to find out exactly why they feel they are no longer welcome in South Africa, but in turn feel that they are welcome here in the United States. And it's those type of personal stories I think will tell us a lot about their motivating factors, whether they agree with Donald Trump's claims of racial persecution in South Africa, or whether this is simply an opportunity for them to start afresh, to come to the United States and try to become a US citizen. But undoubtedly there will be some motivating factor, and those will be the fascinating nuggets that we'll be listening out for later at that press conference. It's just unclear whether any of the so-called 49 refugees themselves will be speaking, or whether it'll be more a case of government officials giving their side, their version of events.